the dying embers of human existence, as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the Earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully catalogued and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Framerate, part of the Western Media Podcast Network. Join us as we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms, deliberating on whether each one is worthy of salvation or destined for destruction in the face of an impending asteroid apocalypse. I'm Nathan Shore, and accompanying me are the extraordinary movie mavens Brianna Butterworth, Sam Cole, and in addition, we are delighted to welcome to our podcast friend, filmmaker, and film enthusiast Christian de Rezendes. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you for having me.
We are so happy to have you joining us. It has been a dream of mine to have you on the show for a long time.
I'm excited. Thank you so much.
To begin the episode, I want to ask my co-host a question. And
yes.
This one might be the biggest stretch of all of them, but I'm taking advantage of the movie that we watched tonight.
Go for it, Mr. Wayne. Sorry.
And all of you can have an opinion on this. So your family has been kidnapped by a rogue organization. The reason is because you hold the secret of the greatest magic trick in human existence and are being blackmailed for it. You are threatened that if you turn to the authorities, your family will be murdered. There are 4 people that can help you: Batman, Wolverine, Black Widow, and Harry Brown. I don't know if anyone got that reference. But anyways, there are 4 tasks to assign to each of these heroes. Which of the 4 are you assigning the task of assembling the team? That's the first one. Which of these 4 are you assigning to lead the investigation? And which of these 4 are you assigning to rescue your family? And finally, which of these 4 are you assigning to kick ass in the final showdown with the villains?
Mm-hmm.
So for the kick ass in the final showdown with the villains, that would be Wolverine. To assemble the team, that would be Batman, because due to his wealth, he would have really good communication skills and he could put them all together and send them planes and stuff to come to his mansion. So he would get the ball rolling faster. And then for the lead and the rescue, who are the other 2 jokers again? I forgot.
Black Widow and Harry Brown, the Michael Caine character.
Oh, so Black Widow would definitely lead the party because she just has that, leadership ability.
Sure.
And the Scarlet Witch, exactly. And for the rescue operation, I have not heard of that other character. So I'll just throw him in there and hope that he does a good job, because this is my family we're talking about. And if he fails, I'd be really, really upset, but I'd still be polite. I'd be like, they died. I'm upset, but I know you tried. So that's kind of my angle.
Has anyone seen Harry Brown?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm ashamed. I'm not proud that I don't know who it is. Yeah, I'm not ashamed.
It's a really good movie, actually.
Yeah.
I got to
Anyone else
check
have
it
an
out.
opinion on this ridiculous
It's
scenario?
crazy. I just got a phone call from Batman, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to be on Sam's team for this?" So it sounds like the right team. So yeah.
Batman knows what's up.
Word.
Someone just needs to take the role of the dungeon master away from me for this part of the show. I hand it over to you guys to think of this part of the show. Honestly,
it's
I need
business.
to just stop.
You should
Dangerous
throw
business, Nate.
Chris O'Donnell in there. You should throw Chris O'Donnell in, but not as Robin, as his character from CSI LA.
But Chris O'Donnell wasn't in The Prestige, so I had
That's
to
true.
go with this cast.
That's true. He's off that. Now I understand. Yeah.
No. No, I would throw in his character from Son of a Woman.
I thought
Nobody
Chris
remembers
O'Donnell
that,
did the voiceover work for the electrocution stuff, like the that was him at a microphone. No, it was.
I think
Well,
we're
I think-
really underestimating Andy Serkis here in the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, we are.
know?
Yeah. Well, let's get to the show here, and I want to have the audience. I want to introduce our guest. We have Christian de Rezendes here. Me and Sam, I think, have known him for a long time. Christian, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. I know you're a filmmaker. I know you're a film enthusiast, but tell us a lot more about who you are so our audience gets to know what you're about, please.
Okay, cool. Yes, I'm a filmmaker. I'm a director of both narratives and documentaries, but I'm known mainly for documentaries because that seems to have been the way my path has fallen. And I direct, produce, and edit and shoot my own stuff, which is kind of a quadruple mix. And on the project I've been working on for over a decade, I'm wearing, I think, 5 or 6 hats. So it's a little, it's really great to be versatile like that because it in some ways it's really helpful that you know exactly how all these parts communicate and they're all in your head. And then the bad part is they're all in your head. And you don't know sometimes how to separate. And you're literally, there's like wars going on inside your brain. There's just constant, fighting, and your editor is fighting with your director, and then you realize they're the same person. And that's really kind of how that goes. But that's a bit of what I do. I've done a lot of, as I said, mainly documentaries. About 10 years ago, we premiered something called Raising Maddie Christian, which is a feature-length documentary about a kid born without arms and legs. And that did well. And then, as I said, for the last 13 years, actually, I've been working on Slatersville, America's First Mill Village, which is a 11 episode series. Didn't start out that way. It was only going to be a feature length something, but then it just grew and grew and grew. And so it's an 11 episode series. The first 5 episodes premiered on Rhode Island PBS in 2022 in the fall.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on the last 6 now. And we decided that instead of waiting for the whole 6 to be done, we're going to get the next 3 this fall somehow.
Nice.
Because, it's like every episode is pretty much a feature. So you kind of have to look at it and go, okay, can I carry the weight of 6 features without cracking, or do I let the first 3 go the next time? So that's what we decided this past week, actually. And I feel greatly relieved and greatly accomplished as a result of that. So I think we're in good shape. And Slatersville is about the first mill village in the country, located in northern Rhode Island.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is
Awesome.
It's
Cool.
I'm in awe of your commitment to Slatersville, and I see your updates on it all the time. So, and it's won several awards too, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was nominated for 2 Emmys. It won 1 for music. It was nominated for Outstanding Doc, which we lost to a film about Sandy Hook, which we saw coming. And there are other social issue docs in that category. We got a Gold Telly and we got 3 festival awards, and that's just based on the first episode. So the interesting thing about it is that, when you do a series, it's not normal. Most 99% of films out there on the festival circuit are one-off single films.
Yeah.
Single short, single features. And I thought there was going to be more of a home for series that were independently produced, but not really. That's what I'm discovering. So it's harder to get reviews and attention without certain people or groups on board. But it's been well received, much to my delight. And so it's been a wild ride and continues to be.
And maybe too, by making it, you're crafting a home for the series. You know what I mean? Like you have actually created the niche, so it's like trailblazing, which is pretty awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. In a weird way. Yeah. It's, or so I fell into, not by choice.
Now, is Breaking Branches Pictures, is that the place to find your work? Is that the...
Yep. So Breaking Branches Pictures is my company. So breakingbranchespictures.com is that website. There you can find links to Slatersville, Raising Maddie Christian, the website for Slatersville is firstmillvillage.com. Of course, you can check Slatersville out at pbs.org or if you have the PBS app.
Great.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
yeah, definitely everyone should check that out. And I will definitely put those links in the show notes. So wonderful. Okay. So what I'm excited though is also learn about what your thoughts are on the movie that we're talking about today. We watched The Prestige from Christopher Nolan, which came out in 2006, our fourth and final film in our Nolan Nostalgia Month. And
saving the best for last.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Of all the movies we watched in April, and I have a plot synopsis that I will share. Oh, you know what? I'm jumping ahead. I want to mention one other thing because before I springboard away from Christian, I want our audience to get to know you a little bit better about your taste in movies, and I think this might help shape a little bit more about what your likes and dislikes are. And I think I want to do this going forward when we bring guests on.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 4 questions to ask you about your taste in movies, Christian. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Go.
And these are softballs. These are real softball questions, but maybe we'll refine these going forward. And Sam, maybe, going forward, we can have a production meeting about this. But this is an easy one. What is your favorite movie right now?
Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders.
It's a great movie.
What is the first? Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you want to expand on that?
No. I have I don't want to carry it off into another area, so go ahead. Sorry.
What is the first movie you remember watching in the theater?
Ooh.
Of all the movies that I remember so I don't know exactly when this took place, but I'd have to say probably the Muppet movie.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I also remember Clarence the Cross-Eyed Lion. If everybody remembers that, Disney reissued that.
I don't remember that one, no.
But I have
I
have the best story though, and I'll tell the really short version. My parents wanted me to see a film that was out that my mother enjoyed as a child in 1980. And we were driving around, and I don't know what happened. Maybe she looked at the wrong paper or the papers were wrong. But we were driving up and down Woonsocket, the Diamond Hill Road cinemas at the time. The movie wasn't there. I don't want to mention what movie it was because that's going to go into another conversation. But eventually my parents decided, okay, well, this movie isn't happening. So we told them we were going to take them to a movie. So I'm 5 years old. Where do they take me? Well, what's playing at the Stadium Theater? So we go to the Stadium Theater. What's playing there? The Elephant Man by David Lynch.
Oh my God.
They took a 5-year-old to see The Elephant Man. And I remember it. I remember walking in halfway through, kind of looking at John Hurt going, what is this?
And now you're a filmmaker.
Yeah. And I didn't realize, of course, David Lynch hit me much later in life. I love David Lynch's work, but that's one of my earliest, weirdest memories. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is intense right there.
Yeah.
That's next level compared to me. The first movie I saw was Pinocchio, and I found Monstro the Whale really
mine's
scary.
Like yeah.
Really. I remember Fox and the Hound. I remember Cinderella. I remember Saturday the 14th. The spoof on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. I don't think I've seen it, but I know of that film. Yeah.
So my first cinema memories were not like, oh my God, you saw, that movie. You saw Being There. I go, no, I saw Saturday the 14th. So that's
all right. All right. My third one is, what is the last movie you watched?
The Prestige?
Besides The Prestige. Besides The Prestige.
The Prestige. Prior to that, I have been watching The Zone of Interest repeatedly because I find it an amazingly stunning piece of work and listening to it. So I was watching it again last night.
I can't deny it. The sound design, I think it was worthy. It was definitely, I understand why it got a 1 for sound design.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I need to revisit it. But
it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Yeah.
Okay. Just give us a random movie that you like.
A random movie that I like. Moonstruck. I can watch Moonstruck a million times.
Christian, my guy, I've been trying to make us a Moonstruck podcast forever.
I know that movie backwards. I love that movie to death. It is a household movie. We quote it once a day. It is a stunning, beautiful film. But
it is a common occurrence if any minor stumbling block comes into one of our ways in the house, we have to yell, "Get me the big knife!"
Oh yeah, Chrissy.
Yeah,
Chrissy, and I dated somebody named Chrissy for a short time. But Chrissy, bring me the big knife. I tell you, I won't do it. What's the matter, Pop? I'm confused. You know, it's the greatest one. I read something recently where Norman Jewison wouldn't let his cast take a break until they got that kitchen scene down, and he actually paid fines for meal penalties.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Until they got it down, and it shows. Then it shows.
We lost Norman Jewison a couple of months ago, and ever since then, I'm like thinking to myself, there's so many Norman Jewison movies that I think are blind spots for me, and I kind of thought about going on a big spree and catching
team
up on
movie
some.
night. Let's do it. Party.
I still need to see Fist, and I haven't.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So anyway,
all right. Well, let's get to our review of.
This is not a Moonstruck podcast.
No, I know as much as you're trying to turn it into one. So we watched Prestige this week, and I have a plot synopsis. Period thriller set in Edwardian London, where two rival magicians, partners until the tragic death of an assistant during a show, feud bitterly after one of them performs the ultimate magic trick, teleportation. His rival tries desperately to uncover the secret of his routine, experimenting with dangerous new science as his quest takes him to the brink of insanity and jeopardizes the lives of everyone around the pair. Yeah, there you have it. All right. From the internet.
That was not the AI for kids version of the plot synopsis that you've done in the past.
Do you want that too?
I would be fascinated to hear that. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I need to know how you explain this to a child.
It's a little bit longer. I tried to whittle it down. Here we go. All right. The Prestige is a movie about two magicians, Robert Angier and Alfred Borden, who start out as friends but become rivals. They both perform amazing magic tricks, like making things disappear and reappear. But their competition gets out of hand when they start trying to outdo each other with their dangerous stunts. We learn that both magicians have secrets. They each have special tricks they won't share with anyone else. Their biggest secret is they're both willing to do anything to be the best magician, even if it means hurting each other. The movie is full of twists and turns like a magic trick itself. But in the end, we learn that friendship is the most important thing, more important thing than winning. Robert and Alfred realize that their rivalry has gone too far, and they decide to forgive each other.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that happens.
It's AI.
Alternate ending.
It's the story about magic, friendship, and the importance of being honest and kind to others. Listen, it's the version for young children. They can't tell you about how horrible the world is.
If Christian can see the Elephant Man at 5, kids can handle the Prestige.
I'm telling you, I was never happy with this version, so I wasn't necessarily going to go with it, but I have it.
It's good to have an explain like I'm 5 in the pocket.
All right, let's drop the trailer in here and we'll get to our review.
I'll perform this feat in a manner never before seen by yourselves or any other audience anywhere in the world.
The audience loved it.
This trick is top-notch.
You need to celebrate.
A real magician tries to invent something new. It's something that other magicians will scratch their heads over.
I suppose you have such a trick.
Actually, I do. It's the one they're gonna remember me for.
What happened?
It was the greatest magic trick I've ever seen.
I need to know how he does it. He has no trick.
It's real.
All right. Sam, you got some movie facts for us.
I regret to inform you that Sam could not make it, but I, Michael Caine, am here to give you the movie facts tonight. Right, so let's get to it. Let's set the scene here. This is 1 year after Batman Begins, and my temperamental friend Christian Bale was in that film. He was also in this one too, and it was only 1 year later. This is directed by Christopher Nolan, and would you believe it, the two brothers, Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan, rather than engaging in sibling rivalry, decided to write a script together again. And it was pretty good, I've got to tell you. I was happy to be in it. So this movie is based on The Prestige by Christopher Priest. It's a novel that came out before the movie, obviously, because if it came out after and they made the movie before, that would be its own magic trick. Now, it was produced by Emma Thomas, again, Aaron Ryder, Christopher Nolan. And this movie also stars Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, myself, the great Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, Rebecca Hall, Andy Serkis, and let's not forget David Bowie. Wow. Who saw that casting coming? Right. The cinematography was my buddy Wally Fitzer again, who's also worked with Nolan, a great cinematographer, edited by Lee Smith, music by David Julian, and the production companies were Touchstone Pictures, Warner Brothers Pictures, Newmarket Films, Syncope, Buena Vista Pictures Distributions for the United States and Canada, and Warner Brothers handled the international distribution because that takes a load off, right? So now, just this film, like Nolan's track record, was also profitable. Budget $40 million, not including marketing costs. It made $109.7 million. And because of this film, I was able to pay off more of the taxes on my beach house in Jamaica. So thank you, Christopher Nolan, for that. Now, let me just say one more thing about the production. Julian Gerards and Sam Mendes, producer, approached Christopher Priest for an adaptation of his novel The Prestige, but Priest was impressed at that time with Nolan's films following in Memento, and subsequently producer Valerie Dean brought the book to Nolan's attention. So in October of 2000, when Nolan traveled to the United Kingdom to publicize Memento as Newmarket Films was having difficulty finding a new United States distributor, but while he was in London, Nolan actually read Priest's book and shared the story with his brother while walking around in Highgate, and the rest is history because they got interested in making a film. There's a basic plot synopsis. Feel free to add anything else. The Prestige. I'd like to see your magic trick, sir.
Wow. Thank you, Sam.
I'm still stuck on "And Myself," the great Michael Caine.
I just want to, Sam, can I hear you say one thing?
Yes.
One time, Michael
Sam's
Caine.
not here.
Oh, I'm sorry. One time, Michael Caine was asked, "Why were you not at the Oscars to accept your Oscar for Hannah and Her Sisters?" And you know what he said?
I did not know what he said. What did he say?
I was in the Caribbean making a movie called Jaws 4.
That was actually, I think I got that line of him paying off his taxes because that's what he said about Jaws 4. He's like, well, it bought me a house.
Why he did it. That's why he did it.
I want to add a couple of things. Just, this movie got 2 Oscar nominations. It did not to win, but it got nominated for Best Cinematography and Best Art Direction. It lost both of those to Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, yeah. Pan's Labyrinth.
I mean,
that
Pan's
makes sense,
Labyrinth's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would lose that to Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. And I want to just also go quickly. Other films released that were in the top 10 this week. This debuted at number 1 on October 20th, 2006, made $19.2 million. You know what the number 2 movie was?
The Departed.
Without cheating.
Yes. Departed.
17.8 million. Number 3. Do you want a hint?
Number 3.
Pan's Labyrinth.
I want a hint.
No. It opened up also on the same day. This is a World War II movie.
Oh, Letters to Iwo Jima.
Oh, the other one.
Oh, Flags of Our
Fathers. Yeah.
Yes. 13.5 million. At number 4, opened in the 4th week of its release, made 9.6 million. It's an animated movie from Sony Pictures about bears.
Brother Bear.
Nope. Starring Martin Lawrence and Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, man.
This might be a hard one.
I have no idea.
Open season.
Oh, wow. Never heard of it. Wow.
Number 5 also opened this week, and it's a family adventure film about a girl who runs her father's Wyoming horse ranch. Any guesses?
No,
it wouldn't have been Hidalgo because that came out in March 2004, so it's wrong.
Yeah. I saw that in the theater. It was Flicka.
Me too. Yeah.
Flicka.
Oh, yeah.
Million.
Okay.
Number
was
six.
forgettable.
Number 6 in its second week, 9 million. It's the second installment in this J horror franchise. Guess it
Saw.
is.
Saw.
No, J Heart. It's not The Ring, too.
Oh, okay.
No, nope,
Insidious something?
nope. It's the Grudge 2.
Oh, The
Oh,
Grudge.
The Grudge, too.
Yeah, The Ring.
And number 7 made 8.6 million in its second week. Political satire from Barry Levinson starring Robin Williams.
Oh, Man of the Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 8 made 6.9 million opening week for it. Sophia Coppola historical drama.
Marie Antoinette.
Yes.
Yeah.
And number 9, 4.8 million in its third week, is the 6th film in this horror franchise that started back in 1974.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The beginning.
Woo!
Love it. They do
In the
prequels to stories that aren't stories. Go ahead.
And the last, number 10 this week, 4.8 million, the first film from starring this very popular WWE wrestler. He plays someone who's in the military.
The Rock.
John Cena.
The Gridiron Gang. Oh, no. I was going to say
Marine.
Gridiron Gang.
I'll say the Marine. We don't have to waste much more time on this.
Okay.
Man,
Oh,
I would not have
I don't
gotten
think
that.
I saw
Yeah, I don't even-
single.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw a single movie in 2006. You guys.
Okay. All right. So, B, pick a number.
Oh,
Fast.
3.
Sam.
12. Because there's 12 aliens on board the ship in
Right.
Alien Resurrection.
I'm just going to do between this.
Shut up.
Christian, since you are our guest, where would you like to do your review? Do you want anywhere between the four of us? You want to go first, last, in the middle?
However you'll have me. I mean, I'm
We'll
more
have
than
you
happy
any
to.
way you want.
Sunny side up.
Maybe. Yeah, whatever you'd like, Nate. I defer to you guys.
You're our guest, but
I know, but because of that, you tell me where to go.
If you want to defer, you could pick a
in that
number.
case,
then
case, I'm going to have you pick a number.
9.
9. Okay. And what do we got?
19.
19.
19. So that means, Sam, you're going first. That means Christian second. I'm third, and B is fourth. All right, Sam, are you ready to tell us? What did you think?
I'm ready.
That, please?
So obviously, we'll discuss more detailed scenes soon, but as an overview, I had only seen this movie once in the theater in 2006, and I remembered definitely enjoying it back then, but time went by. I did not get an opportunity to see it again. Literally 18 years went by. I must say, watching it again recently, this movie is a lot better than I remembered. I liked it when I first saw it. I didn't dislike it, but I thought, oh, that was pretty good. But I was more impressed with watching it the other night now. And I think what it is, a huge selling point for me with this movie is, yes, I love, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson's performance and of course, Michael Caine. And but what really elevates this movie for me is, aside from the obvious, which is the magician rivalry, which is already great because two, magicians of friendship falling apart, the levels that they go to, the obsession. I really liked the addition of Tesla and that kind of mystery underlying thing, and where it was we have magic tricks, but there's also quote unquote real magic. There's a kind of menace to this film where it's I just feel this film has this theme of they're meddling with powers that they shouldn't. And so that really elevated it for me. That with the production design and the period piece element, it's kind of, there's a sort of a spooky, eerie quality to this movie, which really elevates it. I thought if it had just been the magicians with rivalry, that would have been good, but it's that added flavor that adds an extra element of tonality, and also getting into it because, it's about the, two characters obsessed with illusion. All of filmmaking is an illusion. So it's a movie about illusion, about obsession, which is, that's about, film directors are obsessed. So it's preaching to the choir for material that Christopher Nolan would like. And I'll say, and this is really oversimplifying things too much, but I sense almost two Christopher Nolan camps, where in one of his camps, I would put Memento, The Prestige, perhaps The Following. And in his another camp, I would put Interstellar, Oppenheimer, sort of insomnia, even though it's more standard. But there's like there seems to be two main branches of the types of films he made, more thought provoking, more blockbustery, and that's really oversimplifying it. But I felt that The Prestige for me is probably the best of this type of Chris Nolan film. Earlier Christopher Nolan, where again he loves playing with time and revealing things later and doing scenes out of order. For this movie, it works especially well because of the nature of illusions and magicians, and the concept of the pledge, the turn, the prestige, the three parts of an illusion. So the story really lends itself to that. And I had totally forgotten David Bowie was in it. I did actually like his performance, but I'm so used to his iconic performance in Labyrinth that I kept expecting him to like burst out into song and like do a dance in front of the all the oscillating electricity. But I really liked it. I would say if to give it stars, I'd give it 4. I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, it was really good for what it was trying to do. I thought, aside from a few like nitpicky things, I thought it succeeded. I mean, I was engaged the whole time, and just like speaking as a general audience member, I was entertained while watching it. It was not tedious, like, oh, I got to figure this out and what's this about, and oh, now we're back to this scene. I actually like had a good experience watching it. So like I was engaged, and that's like a huge part of the star system for me when ranking a movie, because if I'm entertained, that really, so it appealed to me. Yeah. So 4 stars. That's what I'd say.
Thank you, Sam.
Cool.
Right. Christian.
All right. So it's interesting. I watched this movie when it first came out in 2006. And I think since that time, I've really become a Chris Nolan fan. I really, really started to become a Chris Nolan fan on Batman Begins, because I really liked how he was retreating that subject matter. Because at the time I was like, oh my God, I don't want to see another. Why are they rebooting this? But then I saw his reboot and I'm like, oh, I'm in. Okay. So at that point, and then everything that followed. And I liked Memento before this very much. I did not like The Prestige when it first came out. And I think it was because it's a really hard thing to explain. I don't totally get why the characters are doing what they're doing. I don't feel that way in other Chris Nolan films. And I feel here it was a little bit of a strange put on. And I can't quite put my finger on what I mean by that, to be honest with you. I will say that I find it, and Sam hit upon this beautifully, I find it, so it's been 18 years since The Prestige. And we've seen Inception, Interstellar, Oppenheimer, Tenet, and other pieces. And Nolan very clearly has a formula, a visual language that he's established over time, especially in the longer narratives, where in the first third, he's really spelling out how something works scientifically. And at the same time, in the way he shoots scenes dramatically, not taking safe shots away. He takes safe shots away. He takes establishing shots away. He takes exposition away, and to the point where you're like in it. And for example, in the first 3 minutes of Oppenheimer, I was in love with it because I knew totally that he was in Oppenheimer's head. That was the idea. He's in Oppenheimer's head, and he can bounce back and forth between the past, the future, black and white, color. So you understood that this was going to be a balance. And the other thing that Nolan has become incredibly good at too is keeping 1 or 2 steps ahead of the audience. You can tell, as he's sitting there with his editor and his writer going, okay, they're not right next to me, are they? Okay. And he keeps running ahead. And he's incredibly good at that. And he's good at that in The Prestige. What I think The Prestige gives away, in sort of a bigger sense, to take it out of just what the plot of the movie is almost the movie where, unbeknownst to us, Nolan is telling you exactly how he's going to make every movie in the following 20 years. Okay. It's
I like
almost like, of course we didn't know that at the time. So he's like, look, it's magician, it's magic. Look, I'm completely manipulating the shit out of everything here. Look at this. Look at me. This is it. And I think it's a little bit of, do you see what I did there? It's a little, Prestige is a little bit of that, but I can't help being such a fan of his. I can't help but see it with nearly 20 years hindsight differently than I did when I saw it. So I don't, what Sam just said about compartmentalizing portions of his career, I think that's very relevant here. But there are a number of great directors that had warm-up periods. And I think that to a degree, Nolan was really still in his warm-up period before, when Interstellar arrived, when Dark Knight arrived, when all these other, I'm like, oh, wow. And then there was one more thing. I once saw a documentary about the work of Terrence Malick, and two directors were interviewed, Chris Nolan and David Fincher. Now, if there's anybody in the later films of Terrence Malick, when you start looking at them, and then you look at most of Chris Nolan's work in the last, say, 10 to 15 years, Nolan really emphasized how much of an influence Terrence Malick was on his work. And you can really see it cinematically. Yeah. You can really see
especially Interstellar.
Yes. Not so much in Fincher. I don't know where Fincher channels Malick, but Nolan definitely does. And in his visual style, in how he just moves through everything in a very handheld, sort of impromptu, natural sense. And then at one point, I kind of realized that you could take Nolan's work and say and I always screw this up, I should have written it down. He's structurally overstated and visually understated in a way.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah. So true.
Right. So he's not he has worked so hard at creating the world of, say, Inception or Interstellar or what's going on there, but then he's sort of running through it with his camera in a way that's very loose and very not pretentiously shot at all. And it's almost like he's showing up there and you're like, oh, this is the way it is. You're like, oh, okay. That's the world. And so he's become incredibly good at that. The Prestige for me is an early work of his. It's not a bad film at all. I did start to recall the little giveaway there with Christian Bale's other character. About halfway through, I'm like, oh yeah, that's how this goes. All right. But
did you pick up on that though the first time you watched it though?
No, I didn't. No, but I remembered it 18 years later, and it just kind of it's a good early film. I think he gets a little too loose with the cinematography in The Prestige. I know it was nominated, but I kind of wanted him to slow down. There's a lot of fast editing in it and stuff like that. But, that's just me being nitpicky. I think it's a good movie. I think I would give it a 3 out of 5. I'm not in love with it. I'm in love with his later work, but, it's not a bad movie. So it was very interesting that of all the Nolan films, because at the time everybody was like, oh my God, did you see The Prestige? And I was like, yeah, that's how The Prestige. And it was the same year that The Illusionist came out, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you had two magician movies that were doing this.
There was a third movie that I haven't seen called Scoop that is also about magic that came out the same year with Scarlett.
Was that Woody Allen?
I think so.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. Yes.
Christian, it's so funny because you actually jarred my memory. I had the same reaction to the movie in the theater as you did. I liked it. And I just where I am, what's going on with me, it just hit me a lot stronger watching it again. I had a much better, but I did feel that way when I saw it in the theater. And in the same way that you were saying you can't quite explain it, I had a trouble getting into the characters because they were these magicians and all this craziness is going on. I don't know how to explain it, except in the theater I was kind of like, what the hell is this? That's the best way. So
why am I watching these people? Why?
Exactly. The Prestige
really similar. Yeah, it's like The Prestige doesn't totally define that for me. I know I am watching Interstellar. I know I'm watching Inception. And then Prestige, I'm like, I'm watching a couple of egocentric people trying to outdo each other. And I'm just like, okay. And then that's where that
Same reaction
is
the
for me.
first time I saw. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally hear you there. Yeah, that
But not
fascinating.
not like a bad movie. I'm not sitting
No,
here
not
saying
definitely not bad.
No,
I was just kind of
it's-
like I felt like disconnected a little bit somehow, but in the theater, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll step up next. Well, I think Sam said something in the very beginning here that I remember liking this a lot, but when I watched this recently, I forgot, I think, how much I actually really loved this movie, and because it was always top tier Nolan for me, but I actually really love this movie, and I think I forgot how much I really love this, and I think this movie's amazing. Honestly, I think it's a crying shame that The Prestige hasn't received the notoriety over time that I think it really deserves. Inception, The Dark Knight, Oppenheimer, even Memento. I think these are the highly lauded films of his career. But above them, I think The Prestige is honestly his greatest achievement. I do.
Wow,
I think this film
yeah.
intertwines magic, science, art, delving into the themes of love and hate, and showcasing how obsession in these realms ultimately bring about downfall. Something that I think makes this film great is when it just rewards the viewer with repeat viewings, and that's what this film does. I never, more than any other movie I can think of, I could watch this again and just enjoy finding all those clues in this. And this whole movie is foreshadowing. There's not a single moment of this movie that is not laying out foreshadowing for what's to come. And I just love that about this film. Every scene, every conversation is either planting the seeds or self-referencing the very nature of what this film is about. And I will bring up two examples. There are two scenes that I think showcase the brilliance of this. And I'm going to spoil it right now because this is a spoiler podcast. But there's early on, there's a scene where Christian Bale is performing the bird trick for the audience. And he makes the bird disappear. And the little boy gets really upset when he believes the bird was killed. Borden brings the bird back as part of the trick, but the boy keeps crying. And the boy says, well, what about his brother? Right there, that's the plot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The brother dies.
Yeah. True.
And I didn't catch that the first time I watched that.
No.
There's another scene where Borden and Angiers are at a magic show to see the old Chinese magician perform the goldfish bowl trick. And there's a lot of irony in this scene that I keep trying to wrap my head around to get into this. But it speaks to the difference in the characters. Angiers is mesmerized by the trick, really questioning how he does it, or so it seems. But Borden is seeing the bigger picture, that the trick isn't what's happening on the stage, it's the entire act on and off the stage. He says this is why nobody can detect his methods or something like that. It's total devotion to his art, self-sacrifice, all that. The irony is that Angiers is already in a way living this. He's pretending to be someone he isn't. Mm-hmm. And this is why I love the movie. It's in that realm of the snake eating its tail in that territory already. And I love films that work in that register. And in this, Nolan is, I think, probably the best at it. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot more to say about this movie, but before I get into more, I don't want to get into every single scene in this, but I'm going to pass the baton. This movie is my favorite Nolan, I think, by far. It was jockeying for that position with Memento, but now after I've seen both of these within a couple of weeks apart, this is, I think, my favorite. So
I'll say really quickly too that even just seeing it a second time, what you're talking about, Nathan, how it just you just notice more and it gets better and better. Having only seen it twice, I did feel that what's the word, uplift, or I felt the depth of the movie. Mm. And I'm I could watch this again and I know I would enjoy it more, which I missed with the first viewing. But what you're saying about the repeat viewings, I feel like having seen it just twice that I'm on the path of like the movie's like rising up a hill in my mind in the Nolan movie. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I feel like I've seen this. This is my 4th viewing, and that's so crazy that I've seen this movie already 3 times, and I've now watched this 4 times, and I feel like I just now seeing so much more than I've seen before. And I feel like I want to watch it again because I want to see more of those clues and more of that foreshadowing. Because I feel like there's more for me to enjoy in this movie that I haven't, which is why I think this movie is brilliant. Because I think there's more to unpack, and there's more.
Right. There's depth that you would get in this that you wouldn't get in the following, where the following is, I mean, it's like his earliest. So the following is good, but you see the trick, quote unquote, and you're like, oh, okay, I got it. I enjoyed that movie. This has layers. Yeah.
Because the trick of this movie is that the movie is the trick. And that's why I love this. So this is a 5. This movie is a 5 for me. This is the pantheon of movies for me. For sure. Yeah. So, yep.
That's awesome. I got to get the Blu-ray now. I'm enthusiastic based off your enthusiasm.
I love the cover of the 4K. I can't wait. It's just beautiful cover art. Anyway, yeah, I'm on Nathan's team here. This is also my favorite Nolan. I love this movie. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's kind of delicate. It's kind of creepy. I love the atmosphere of this movie. Christian, you talked a little bit about like contextualizing this within Nolan's career and the pantheon of his films. And for me, doing this podcast has been an opportunity to see his early works. This is the only one that we've covered that I'd seen before. I had never seen Memento or any of them. So I've only been familiar with his later work. And I found him to be this like craftsman, but not necessarily a storyteller that I could really connect with. I was like, I get it. These are big, beautiful movies. But up until Oppenheimer, I was like, I just felt really distanced from these characters. And even though this movie, I think it's a lot of criticism for more shallow characters, I think I'm okay with it because they're all existing in the same world. They all have the same amount of work to do as each other. It's not that one character falls short in terms of depth compared to the others. And I think what sort of sells this to me is I think as people, we just really are attracted to stories of singular obsession. And I think we, at least I do, I think a lot of people do, contextualize that as like people who climb Mount Everest, right? People who achieve these great athletic feats, or people who win Academy Awards, who were singularly focused at becoming great at this one thing. And this is a movie about obsession, about something magical and amazing and mystical and a little scary. And I think that really is the through line for me, and it cuts through a lot. I don't know. I just think it does it so well and so beautifully.
I love the scariness too that you're talking about. That eerie, scary, like that
Sleepy
scary
Hollow
element
kind of vibe.
Yeah, it elevates it, and it actually like it's like they're meddling with like powers that they shouldn't. And there's a feeling to this movie that I love.
Pursuit of greatness, right? The pursuit of greatness for something that's fake.
In the dark side of what that obsession leads to.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's not just the medal at the end, but it's also the pursuit of greatness for something that's an illusion, right? It's the pursuit of showmanship. It's the pursuit of a trick. And then the movie bait and switches you where it might not just be a trick. Maybe we can make this happen in the real world. And isn't that terrifying if now you combine this obsession with something electric? So I think that I think it does it really well. I keep saying I think. On paper, this movie shouldn't work. Combining, and on paper, in the book, it's apparently even wilder because Edison is in there too. But
I can't even imagine how this was even like storyboarded out or mapped out in Nolan's brain. Like,
it's crazy. It's a crazy premise. It's insane. But it comes together so wonderfully. And I think unsung hero of this movie, I think Rebecca Hall. She does so well.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah, she's good in this.
What a great part.
And Andy Serkis to a degree.
Rebecca Hall's playing the only like real person I think. In this
Yeah,
movie.
I felt
Yeah.
so much empathy for her. Like she just, you know what I mean? Like she's such a human being. Exactly.
Mhm.
A quick comment, Christian. I love what you were saying about how there's tons of planning with Christopher Nolan's like organizational work, but when it comes to the camera angles, there's like a casual kind of like moving around, exploring.
Yeah,
I
he's
totally
loose.
agree with that. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. Not in
Right.
this movie, but like in Christopher Nolan movies, sometimes I like it. And then sometimes I'm like, I am craving a formal like Wes Anderson wide shot just once. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
just one.
I've never
not-
heard Sam utter those words before.
But it's almost like you're kind of like you're stuck in somebody's. You know, you could say that about a lot of his films to a degree, is because he doesn't cut away to that safe shot. You
Right.
are within the prism of that whatever obsessive track he's on, whatever character it is. And the best think about it, the best movies that we love are about characters obsessed with something. Whether it's solving a crime or you're in love with somebody or whatever the case may be.
That's why I love David Fincher's Zodiac so much. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Zodiac. I was thinking
incredible.
of Zodiac. I was thinking of Zodiac earlier because you're like, when somebody, I think either B or Nate said about obsessive people, Zodiac for me is the ultimate obsession movie. I mean,
I love that.
And maybe Fincher's best movie. Yeah.
I actually, that's probably my favorite Fincher movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I was blown away. I mean, there's so many other good ones, but I saw Zodiac in the theater and I was just like gobsmacked by it. I was like, this is awesome.
But the obsession to detail, it's like the
incredible.
The typography on the text on the screen telling you exactly what the date was and the time.
Oh, what the date was, and like 2.5 hours later, or 3 days before, or 48 hours later. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you have to remember that, but it matters that he's doing it to throw you into that world and the obsession to detail.
Exactly.
So, but not to make this about Zodiac. But yeah, about Nolan's work, I just feel like Prestige is a good sleight of hand example on him. He is the magician as he's going through it. And I was trying to, somewhere in my mind, I can't think of what it is, but there's another movie where two people are constantly trying to outdo each other. And I just can't remember what it is right now, but it just kind of reminded me of that. And we've seen like comedies where people are trying to do this too.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
B, by the way, your rating. Sorry, we were talking about you. How many stars would you give the Prestige?
No. Yeah, this is a 4.5 for me. It's up there.
Woohoo!
This is I really think it's lovely and wonderful and magic and scary and even when you know what's going to happen. And Nate, same as you, this is like my 4th or 5th viewing of this, and it didn't matter. There was still stuff to look at, and then I was just impressed that he pulls off the trick every time. I didn't need to be surprised.
Okay. But so there's something I wanted to ask you guys. I'm trying to actually work out my brain because there's some parts of this movie that I think are kind of confusing. Remind me. So Borden sends Angiers to Colorado Springs to Tesla, which is supposed to be like a wild goose chase.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm always, this is the part of the movie that's always kind of thrown me off. Why he does this. Now he's obviously doing this because I think Fallon is this where Fallon is like Birdie's trying to save him, or why does he do that? If he believes that it is a wild goose chase, when Tesla obviously is a very brilliant person that could in fact build this machine. Does Borden actually believe or that he? My question is, do you think that Borden sent him there thinking that Tesla would not be able to build this machine? Because that's what would make the most sense.
I'm not quite sure. Honestly, there are some things that I missed. I got the gist of it, but like I am not certain. I don't know.
I think he sent him there. I think he sent him there because it's just so crazy. It just might work. I think it's like plausible enough to put him on the scent of this goose chase. He's a smart guy, right? So I think it's plausible enough, but also it gets his ass out of England and it gets him far away.
Yeah. It's just such a Okay, so here there's this theory that I'm trying to work out here. So I'm going to botch this question up because it's so interconnected in a weird way. We know that Tesla in this movie, Tesla builds a machine for Angiers that it ends up being a cloning machine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which is a deep conversation about that. And Angiers uses it to clone himself, which is moral issues with that. However, we also have this other part of the story where Borden has a twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are we supposed to believe that this is actually his biological twin brother? Or did Tesla actually build this machine before? Because he does say that I built this machine one other time for an old friend. Did he build this machine for Borden and Fallon actually is a clone? I can't find much information on this.
I think it's possible. It's like that does not sound far off.
Because it seems kind of little weird that Fallon and Borden, if they were biological twins from birth, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. At what point in their career or his career ascending to become a world-renowned magician we're twins. We could do this transported man thing. I mean, it just seems like this might have been something he stumbled across at one point. Oh, I now have a twin or a clone. I can do this. At what point did they start working together to make this plan? It seems like it's more plausible that he ran into Tesla at one point, somehow got a machine, made this clone, then, I now have a master plan to do this.
You're saying that Borden was already tricking, like when Angier went to Colorado Springs, like clearly Borden had already Borden was already set him up for that, right?
But the problem is, if that was the case, but that goes against the whole idea that why send him to Tesla if he knows that Tesla can actually make this machine?
I love this theory, but I think he's a biological twin. I think we're given no reason to think that he's lying, but I also think, and I wanted to talk about this with you all too, so I'm kind of glad it came up. There's this really subtle underlying conversation in this movie about class and about Hugh Jackman's character being wealthy and having disposable income to just kind of like say F you to his family, try this out, go to Colorado Springs, do whatever it takes. And Christian Bale is the working class. He's the one who's got the brains. He's the smarts. He just can't make it big. And I just don't see Christian Bale's character ever being like, I was buddies with Tesla once he made me this machine. Like, I think he had to do it down and dirty. And I don't know that he ever even fathomed the resources for it to be a real thing.
I can definitely see that. That makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah.
I have a question actually about the last shot of the movie when it like pans over and it shows. Is that just one? Was that just supposed to be one of the clone drowned Hugh Jackman?
And is he alive?
Is he alive? Okay, because that I feel like that was intended by Christopher Nolan to be some kind of like landing moment, like, and now this, and I was like, but I don't quite understand.
It's the spinning top at the end of Inception.
Yeah, it was a little
That's all
ambiguous
it
to
is.
me.
It's just kind of like, throw that in you. Okay, bye.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, is he?
Wait, what'd you just do that for? Just give you something to think about. Bye.
Exactly, because clearly the way the movie ends, Christian Bale or one of him is dead, the other one is alive and gets the kid, and then the one who's alive shoots Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman, I thought, died, and then I saw that shot, and I was like, oh, but did he die? So it threw me a little. But I recognized I thought there were two Christian Bales pretty early on, like because one had the beer, but when when they chase him and like he falls through the ground and Michael Caine like drills one of him like hammers him shut in a box. That's when I was like, okay, now there's definitely two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So when there was reveal that there were like twins, it was still an awesome reveal, but I'd kind of like thought
Kinda worked it out.
that I wasn't like, oh my God, that's out of nowhere. I was like, yeah, but I thought there were two of them. I didn't know they were twins, but I thought there was just a double that looked like him, in the sense that Hugh Jackman had that drunkard that would like looked like him, but there was no relation. Yeah.
That actually kind of bugged me how easy it was to find a double of Hugh Jackman in London.
Well, you know what I thought of? I thought of the movie Dave with Kevin.
Oh my
Kline.
God.
Oh, that's right.
yes.
Whenever when that scene when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, it's Dave. And but here's the other weird thing. You have this guy who's just hanging out on the side the entire time and nobody really wants to acknowledge him. He's just this weird, hairy dude that's just kind of on the side, will do whatever you want very quietly, and he's standing there waiting, and nobody seems to make any
You could say it's Christian
gesture
Bale's
toward him.
Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It's like,
It's Alfred, but like the other, what else did it make me think of? Oh, I just had it. Oh, anyway, it'll come back.
but I still can't. So like Christian Bale, one of them was killed. Like
Yeah.
that really,
He went to the gallows.
that really, man, that gets me. That like, it's like upsetting in a good way. Cause I'm like, I can't believe that like Hugh Jackman, like, I mean, I can this character cause his wife, but like, the fact that it got to that darkness, I was like, oh my God. I also liked it when
I want to mention something about actually the allegiances that we might have with these characters, because I want to ask you something. When I first watched this movie like 18 years ago, I think this movie is presented in a way where Nolan positions Angiers kind of in a way as the protagonist, maybe at first. He's the man that's on the quest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're with him maybe a little bit more than Christian Bale. It's also Angiers that the audience might sympathize with at first because he experiences the first tragedy in the movie. He loses his wife, and I think it's easy to relate to his frustration.
Yes,
and he's the more showier performance. He's more entertaining to watch on screen. He's the greatest showman, right? Over time, I keep watching this movie. And I will say, my allegiances are swaying way toward over to the Borden. Now, I wouldn't say he's necessarily a much better person at all. He does some pretty terrible things. But I think, I'm just curious what you guys think about where your allegiances fall, maybe when you first watch this movie to where you are now.
B really hit upon this very well. And there is a point here about class that's being made. And yeah, I think, usually audiences will go for the underdog. Who's the underdog? Who's in the least privileged position? Well, in this case, that's Christian Bale's character. So I think that there's some sort of maybe there's this conflict because Hugh Jackman is this well-to-do, hi, I'm Hugh Jackman kind of a person, and people are like, we want to love Hugh Jackman.
Hard not to like him.
He's so likable in this movie.
Right. He's so, God, why can't... And then there's this Christian Bale character here who you don't like in a sense, but in another sense, he's the underdog. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, what's he going to do? And you start, as the whole, it becomes Rocky IV. Okay.
He also has
suddenly you start rooting for the other person.
Goatee in scenes also. So that's what's great about this movie. It's like, I don't know where I want to go.
See, I think
but go ahead, Christian. Sorry.
I was just going to say quickly to Nathan's point, that's where it's great because I felt the oscillation as well. And I think the point is you're supposed to feel the oscillation of the allegiance because I liked Hugh Jackman at first. Then I empathized with Christian Bale. Then I empathized with Hugh Jackman. Then I empathized. Like it went like I felt like and like in a good way. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's where the women in this movie really play a role too, because they shape how we see these men. Rebecca Hall's character feeling that distance that, unbeknownst to us is Christian Bale's twin, is the Fallon character. You don't love me today. It's not true today. Right. It's hard to sympathize with that man who can't even love his wife and his child. And, but then later we have ScarJo who's willing to sort of be a turncoat for the Hugh Jackman character. And then it suddenly we're a little bit more on Christian Bale's side. Rebecca Hall's not really in the picture. So I think that helps.
That says so much to the repeat viewings too, because then you can go back again and be like, who are you watching? Like, there's always something more to. It's a treasure trove of detail.
Yeah. And do you sympathize with obsession or do you sympathize with sacrifice? You know?
Oh God, I sympathize with obsession, but that's just me. I mean,
depends on where you are when you watch this movie.
Where you are exactly, where you are emotionally. Yeah, but I hear that.
Yeah, this movie's so good.
I want to backtrack to one other thing, and I know we talked about Tesla already, but I love the comparisons of Angiers and Borden to the rivalry with Tesla and Edison. Did anyone must have caught this?
Yeah, I don't know. Mentioned Edison.
Our audience might or may not know much about that. I mean, I'm sure they do, but back in the early days of electricity, as some people probably know, you had Nikola Tesla, the AC current guy, and Thomas Edison, the DC current guy. And they were going to head to head. And these were some seriously prideful and spiteful characters. And they were basically battling out to see who the electrical current would, which would reign supreme in powering the new electrical grid. And obviously Edison came out on top of the showdown. Edison had this whole thing going where he'd travel around putting on shows, even electrocuting elephants using Tesla's electricity. And funny thing is, despite Edison's own current being more dangerous, he liked to show off Tesla's stuff. Mm-hmm. So Tesla, he was definitely like the brainiac of the two, definitely a more brilliant guy. But he wasn't but not so great at selling himself.
We didn't see much of. Did we see much of Edison in this movie? I would have liked to have seen Edison. There's a role for Al Pacino,
but he'd often lose out because he just couldn't pitch ideas like Edison could. So Edison might not have been a genius, but he was definitely the better showman. So it's like they were the Angiers and the Borden of the electricity world. So I just love that that's brought in. And I have to plug Christian. We have a friend, Lenny Schwartz, who currently has a play going on right now. I don't know if you had to see it.
I'm seeing it this coming weekend. Yeah.
So it's about the invention of the first motion picture camera, and it's about the rivalry of that. And Thomas Edison is part of this. And I just like this whole world of watching The Prestige and Edison and Tesla, and Edison's part of this play. And it's all about the themes of obsession are part of this play as well. And unfortunately, by the time this episode comes out, the play will be over, but I'm happy you're going to see it, Christian, because it definitely,
definitely my son being on the spectrum, there's a book that I have these value tale books from when I was a little kid. And one of them is The Value of Creativity, the story of Thomas Edison. And so that's been read to him many times and he loves it. But it's now known that Thomas Edison was also autistic. Yeah. And so what he was doing constantly was taking things apart and trying to figure them out and going through a lot of failure before he would come up with stuff like the light bulb and the record player and the movie camera and everything else. I'm not sure if showmanism was his thing, though. I do wonder if he was surrounded by people who knew that it was, and put him out there. But I would think of him as a little too also deaf from a train accident in his youth, but introverted to the point where he would need someone to do his marketing for him. Yeah. So if we're going to get nitpicky about that. And also Edison also almost made his way into being mentioned in Slatersville, strangely enough.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So, yeah, because
has anybody
the Slaters owned stock in the Edison company, but that was
okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen that movie, The Current War, which came out 5 years ago?
Which one?
No,
The Current War. It came out in 2019. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch and as Thomas Edison and Nicholas Hoult as Tesla. It
That's
didn't get
real,
the great
of the time casting.
I know it didn't get the greatest reviews, but I didn't know if anyone saw it.
Yeah,
But
I
No,
did
I
not
didn't
see it,
see
but
it.
I'm looking at a picture. I'm looking at a picture of Thomas Edison right now, and he should have been played by Christopher Plummer and had a scene in the movie. That would have been awesome. Anyway,
Yeah.
too
All
late.
right,
You screwed
We
up,
wanna-
Nolan. Just kidding.
sidetracked. Anyways,
We were all so much younger in 2019.
I know, right?
Whole
Yeah.
5 years
Remember that? We
and
were
a
different people.
pandemic in between. Yeah.
Those
anything
are
else
good old
about
days, right?
about the finale of this movie? There's a lot that unfolds at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is that what would normally be the big reveal at the end of this movie when we learn that Lord Caldwell is, because his name gets thrown around early in this movie, but he is the same.
Yeah.
He's basically Angiers, but that reveal isn't even the first or second most shocking part of this climax. And in a normal movie, that would be the big reveal.
Mhm.
But you've also got the revelation that Angiers has been making clones of himself and that Borden has a twin. And I think it's that's a lot to take in the last 5 minutes of this. And
Yeah,
it's also
watch it a bunch.
Also
What?
cool when you think about this. Angiers was never Angiers. That was always a persona.
Mhm.
And it was mentioned early in the movie that he came from a wealthy family, changed his name. He was playing the long con, in a way all along. So wow.
I want to give a quick shout out to the actor Roger Rees, who played Owens. He's excellent. He has a smaller supporting role in The West Wing as this eccentric British advisor to Martin Sheen, and he comes on and he's just every time he's on the show, it's a delight. And so it was just good to see him in this movie. I like him as an actor.
Who did he play?
He played Lord Marlbury, I think his name
Yes.
is. And he was like, I'm Lord Marlbury, British ambassador, but I need some amusement. And he was always
You know where I remember? You know where I remember him from? He played Robin in Cheers.
Oh, that's right.
So, yes.
Yes.
He was the guy that Rebecca was always trying to he was the rich billionaire guy that Rebecca was always trying to I hope he marries me and takes me away. I don't know if anybody here was a Cheers fan.
No, I don't. I know. I love Cheers. I mean, and it was funny. I just liked that, in The West Wing, Martin Sheen, President Bartlett loved his character, and John Spencer, the chief of staff, hated him. He was like, "Oh, this guy is so damn annoying." That was a good dynamic.
Losing John Spencer was a tragedy.
It was Nigel Davenport showing up to play Christian Bale's attorney. That struck me because I barely see him in anything. I always know him as the nephew in the George C. Scott version of Christmas Carol.
Oh, no way.
A much younger Nigel Davenport. So when I see him pop up in this, I'm like, oh, that's totally random, but it's 22 years later.
All right. Any other thoughts before we take a quick break? Are we? I have one other note here. I don't know if this makes any sense, but The Prestige is probably the most masturbatory film Nolan has ever made. Is that true?
It's up there. Although
the most what?
I did.
What was the word? I missed it. The most what film?
Masturbatory.
Oh yeah. That certainly yes.
Yeah, I just wrote that for some reason in here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got nothing else. I think this
and yet you were like, I love it when Nolan masturbates all over this movie. It's so good.
Oh my god.
Yep. Okay.
I enjoyed it more than Tenet.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I like every movie more than Tenet.
Yeah.
No, for me.
But you know what? That's not fair. Tenet does have some cool visuals. Tenet gives me a headache.
Tenet, I dislike Tenet for one reason. I don't think John David Washington is very interesting as an actor. I think if he put somebody else in that role, you'd have a much better movie.
Yeah.
I think he's just blah.
I hear that. I don't hate that movie. It's just there's some
same issue with
unbelievable visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
okay.
You want to take a break? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna take a moment. Thank everyone for dialing into our transmission. We would love to get your feedback. You can do that by dropping us an email at backtotheframerate@gmail.com or find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, or Twitter. I don't call it X still. A wonderful way you can help us is please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. And please spread the word. Tell your friends, family, colleagues, pets, whatever. Share our episodes on your social media feeds. We thank you in advance. Before we come back, I did a poll on what was your favorite film in our Nolan retrospective, and we got 52 responses, which is
I saw that
cool.
poll. Yeah.
And The Prestige got 77%, followed by Memento with 13%, Insomnia 10% in the following, Donut.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people have seen it.
I think that's probably the reason why. Yeah. So I just put up a poll today for our next franchise, which is going to be the Mad Max franchise.
Woo!
So we'll see how that goes, which honestly, I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty split between the first 4 movies right now, which I was shocked to see right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty hyped for this
What do you mean by
series.
split? Like what's split?
Like it's like each one is taking a quarter of the pie right now, or the first 4 movies.
I could see that.
That's interesting.
They have their followers. Yeah.
I question the integrity of these people right now.
I just can't wait to discuss Beyond Thunderdome. That's going to be great.
The Mad Max films, the 4 films is one of the few genres or series where the films actually get better every single time. That's kind of where I land that. That's my
Can't wait for Furiosa.
I am hopeful for Furiosa. I'm also nervous because Fury Road was so good. I don't want this to be like the lesser. I just want it to be different and amazing. So I hope it's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to do our movie pairings, and I'm bringing back our little jingle here for this, our recommendation shelf.
Do it.
Thing here.
Hello, welcome to Masterpiece Video. How may I help you this afternoon, sir?
I'm looking for a copy of 8½.
Is that a new release, sir?
No, it's the classic Italian film.
Yes, sir. Just check that on the computer for you, sir.
Hello, how are you young ladies this afternoon? May I help you find a particular masterpiece movie?
No.
Yes, here it is. 9.5 weeks with Mickey Rourke. That would be in the erotic drama section.
No, not 9½, 8½. The Fellini film.
How about this one? Get it? I'm sure it sucks. All these movies suck.
Okay, we're going to do our movie pairings. So the idea of this is you're watching The Prestige, and it's a double feature night. What are you going to watch with The Prestige? And we're going to go in the same order that we did our reviews. And so that means, Sam.
So this film is a little heavier, a little darker than The Prestige, and there's a thin connection in the sense that they both have a mystery element, and Hugh Jackman is in both these films. But I would go with 2013's Prisoners, directed by Denis Villeneuve. And I like this movie a lot. I cannot remember if I recommended this before in some other podcast, so if I'm repeating myself, I sincerely apologize. Or one of you guys may have recommended it. There's a familiarity there, but this movie came to mind immediately because certainly there is no magic trick in it, but a story unfolds. There's a kind of a mystery element. It's the darker. You might want to watch if you're watching a double feature. Might want to watch Prisoners first and then cheer yourself up with The Prestige as the second film, as opposed to go the other way, because that way it's kind of like wise. But I do like this movie, Denis Villeneuve. It's one of my favorite films of his visually. It's just the whole movie was shot on cloudy, rainy days. There's not a drop of sunlight in it, and I just found it I was enthralled watching this in the theater. So that would be my recommendation.
I still have
That's
to
a
see
great
that.
pick. That was, I think, my first Denis Villeneuve movie that I saw.
Yeah.
Speaking of recycling recommendations, B, I realized that last week you recommended Seven, which you've now recommended twice.
Good. Go watch Seven.
I found this out when I put it into our Letterboxd recommendation. Like, you can't add a movie twice into a Letterboxd list.
Into a list, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is the prequel to 8.5. and Girl 6 is the prequel to 7.
Not Leonard Part 6?
What about Jennifer 8? You can throw Jennifer 8 in there and have
Jennifer 8.
like
you have to bring up Leonard Part 6. Jesus. Oh my God. No, don't do that. Okay. My pick instantly is the film that my mind instantly goes to, which I think I haven't seen it in a while, but I think from an editing standpoint, from a layering standpoint, and from one of the great masters, I think I have to go with F for Fake by Orson Welles.
Ooh,
yeah.
Interesting. Awesome.
Cool.
Because
quality choice.
It's about magic. But he's really kind of yanking your chain through the whole film, talking about other things. And so there is about, I have not seen it in years, even though I own it. So it's about just manipulation of not only magic work, but also filmmaking. And so he's literally telling you what he's doing as he's going through it, which I think Nolan, in a sense, is also doing in a probably different way.
Awesome. So, I have not seen it.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I have seen it. It's been so long. Now I want to watch it again, but I remember liking it. We might have seen that in film school, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So F for Fake, I can see is streaming on Max, on Criterion, and it's available on VOD. And Prisoners is on VOD. All right.
Interesting that you've taken to Max, but not to X, since both are bad.
One of these days, I've got to throw in a recommendation movie that has nothing to do with anything. Like, just throw in like Tommy Boy or Black Sheep or something like that. And people will be like, what is his problem?
All right.
Super Fuzz.
I guess. Oh, I have recommended Super Fuzz.
No. Oh shoot. All right.
What about Starship Troopers Part 2?
Directed by Phil Tippett.
Yes.
There was a caveat with Super Fuzz that is not a good movie, but it's one of those movies that I grew up with. I saw it in the drive-in.
Yeah. Me too. It was,
and Ernest Borgnine's in it, and it just got this. I had such a great time with that movie growing up.
Yeah,
and that was the caveat. I warned the audience, please do not expect high art watching this, but
no,
man, I had a great time with that.
Mm-hmm.
That was before your time, B, before you came on. But yeah.
That's all right.
And Sam and Ellie were like, "What is this?"
I'm here to validate all your weirdo film recommendations. Even though I evidently can't think
I
of
am for random recommendations, though. It's just like
my pairing for this week. I wanted to focus on. I tried to focus on a theme of duality and madness and obsession and delusion. So hence, I'm recommending the 1965 haunting psychological mind-bending film Repulsion.
Ooh.
And we'll not talk about the director, but his name is Roman Polanski. But anyways, which of course carries a lot of baggage these days. But anyways, I'll say this, now. I mean, I don't endorse anything he's done. But anyways, I think it's worth noting that films aren't the creation of just one person. So, anyways, Repulsion, I think it's just a really captivating film. It's the use of dualities, I think, laden throughout. It stars Catherine, I think it's Deneuve, as a woman living in the swinging 60s of London who possibly is on the verge of a psychotic break. And I think the dualities lie within the external and the internal struggles she's dealing with. And this is simply just one of the most unsettling films I've ever seen. The cinematography alone is a huge standout. It's like this eerie kind of like dance between like light and shadow, actually mirrors the main character's descent into madness. The cinematographer actually was Gilbert Taylor, who DP'd on a couple films that you may have heard of, one of which was Star Wars. Heard of it, maybe?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Anyways,
I don't really like sci-fi or adventure or action. I prefer romantic comedies, and that's it.
So.
Just kidding.
I only watch films by Andrei Tarkovsky.
God,
exactly.
And I am like, there's so many blind spots with him. Anyways, for me. Anyways, so this is a gorgeous film worth checking out. It's on Plex right now. It's on Crackle right now. We can stream it for free, and it's on VOD. So I just like this is the kind of movie I just also like putting on in the background. And I don't know why
it's a very good film, Nate. I've just not seen it in several years. So
not to mention another Roman Polanski movie, but have you guys ever seen The Ghostwriter with Pierce Brosnan and Ewan McGregor? I actually really like that movie. Yeah,
and you've recommended it.
That's right. I did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, let's not worry about mentioning Roman Polanski movies. I mean, y'all going to go home and watch Pulp Fiction and forget who the executive producer is. So,
in the algorithms now, we are now a Roman Polanski podcast since his name's been dropped 6 times already.
Yeah,
we should. Although, like, Person Descends into Madness would be a fun theme that we could get into. I'd finally get to do my Cassavetes.
Ooh, I'll erase that director. Now I'm going to put a new director in the algorithm. McG. There.
We Are Marshall was good. We Are Marshall was good. I love Cassavetes, but he's an acquired. Yeah, he's an experiment. He's not meant to be enjoyed. He's meant to be experienced.
He did the Woman on the Verge, right?
Yeah.
That's his best
I think.
film.
Yeah, I mean, I love Opening Night too. It's another great one. Lucretia Martel sort of did like a take on Woman on the Verge. She did The Headless Woman. That was cool. It wasn't as good as La Cienega, but it was cool.
Yeah. So
I went through a Cassavetes phase about 5 years ago.
Nog went through a Cassavetes phase. He's got a face like a Bruce Penny, and his wife is Gina Rollins. We love him. It's fine.
I love Gina Rollins. Husbands.
Yeah.
It's another great film of his.
Yeah.
All right. Who's after me? B.
Yeah. For once, I think I have the most recently made movie to do. Paul Schrader's 2021 The Card Counter with Oscar
I have
Isaac.
not seen it. Is it good?
It is good. It's very good. I think it's an interesting double feature. I think tonally they're very different movies. You know, Paul Schrader takes a lot from Bresson, and I think you really see that in Card Counter, and I think it's really well done. But there's a lot thematically that sort of you can string together through the two movies. And, you know, you start with this sort of sleight of hand card counting that is kind of its own magic trick to someone's benefit. And Oscar Isaac plays this obsessive, ritualistic character that seems sort of solely focused on card counting. And then, of course, a dark relationship with someone else in the film. And I won't give it away, but it's later revealed sort of what he's hiding with that obsession and why he's created the disciplines for himself that he has, which is very different than it is in The Prestige, which is where they're just sort of in the pursuit of greatness and being remembered and legacy. But if you're interested in sort of the underlying darkness of obsession and discipline, I think this could be a really fun, well, not fun, but it could be a good double feature.
I would like to perhaps partner the card counter with Rain Man.
Yeah.
Remember the scene in Vegas? What were you doing? Counting cards.
Christian, by the way, a really brief question, just fast without thinking about it, because you mentioned the Muppet movie. How would you rank the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan in order from best to worst?
Well,
just rank.
I know. The biggest memory I have, because I was 6 years old, is seeing The Great Muppet Caper being brought to that movie, and then the audio cassette soundtrack being played over and over again.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's the one that I'm closest to. So I would say probably the first one is the better movie, but I have to rank the second from being a kid and experiencing it that way.
I totally
Yeah.
hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably go 1, 2, 3 in order, but I like them all. I love those films anyway.
No, that's
You
good.
guys know that my like secret dream is to have a Muppet remake of Die Hard.
That would be incredible.
And then keep like the Bruce Willis character is the only human.
But they should
And then
miscast
everybody
they should
else
like
is the Muppet.
but they should really miscast the Muppets. Like they should have Fozzie as the Hans Gruber character. So you'd be
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
Walker, I'm the bad guy.
You can do anything.
I confess, I'm the only one who wants a sequel to Howard the Duck, where they're in a trailer park. It's 40 years later. Leah Thompson is living there with him, and then Tim Robbins just shows up as the keeper of the place. You know what I mean? I would
That would be
actually want
incredible.
to see that. I would see that.
Yeah.
They should give it the nostalgia treatment, like
Do you want Jeffrey Jones back too?
Why not?
Yeah, why not bring him back? Okay.
Well, he's not back in Beetlejuice. Was
Yeah.
the allegation with him? Was that actually?
Was something dropped with that? Or
I don't
saw something
remember.
about-
I think it was dropped, but I don't remember.
Mm.
I just follow. I know he's not in the second Beetlejuice movie.
Yeah.
I just realized that
It's
down the
not-
line we have to review all the Jim Varney Ernest movies. That would be incredible.
Christ.
Stop it. We're never going to do that. Sam.
I don't know. You never say never.
Oh my God. I love myself. So I don't want to do that.
I've heard
Those films are incredible.
I know I'm just
Should we
a
get-
guest here, but
Should we get back to the show?
You should, but
Maybe.
wait, Christian.
Sure.
Wait, Christian, you had one sentence. Christian, I want to hear the sentence.
I don't want to take you away from the show, but
But,
no. I
but
was
wait,
just like,
say the sentence. Yeah.
I know I'm
I'm
just
so
a
curious.
guest here, but I would just like want to, if you have a series of shows where you review some really, really obscure shit, like just really out there stuff, like just
That's my dream.
or just one show maybe.
to bring in the big audience. Yes, we'll do that. Yeah.
Bringing in a big audience probably won't. Like you're gonna have a whole show about David Lynch's Inland Empire. I would
Nice.
love to just.
Well, I don't think that's bad because he's still a relatively well-known mainstream director in a lot of ways, big indie director. So I would definitely do a David Lynch series.
Or we could watch a
John
bunch
Waters.
of a bunch of old Hanna-Barbera
I
cartoons.
don't know what I would say about Inland Empire. No, like I'm actually fascinated by. I'm fascinated by Inland Empire. I watched it, but I don't know what the hell to say about it.
Yeah.
What's everyone's favorite Lynch? Go.
Ernest
Straight
Saves
story.
Christmas.
Shut up.
Ernest Goes to Jail.
Okay, for me, it's a tie. Inland
Yeah.
Empire, which I can explain at another time because it's so long, and
Sure.
The Straight Story.
Okay. Good calls.
Straight story for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam, Ernest goes to.
It would be Ernest. Ernest Goes to Camp is the best one because it has like the kids and it's like the school. But for David Lynch movies, I would have to say One Moment.
Pulling it up.
I think I'm a Lost
What
Highway.
about the Duran Duran
Lost
concert he
Highway
directed? Nobody ever talks about that.
I didn't know.
Well,
did that.
you know, talk about
Blue
concert
Velvet would
movies.
be up there. Yeah.
Blue Velvet's great. Talk about concert movies, though, Christian. Wings of Desire, secretly a Nick Cave concert movie.
Oh yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
you mentioned watching that earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think that Ernest Saves Christmas is that good. I like the first one and then Ernest Goes to Jail. And then after that, they're kind of meh. But that's my take.
I've never seen an Ernest movie.
Oh, you're missing out. They're incredible.
I know.
I've
I
only
Have you
get
seen
that
the importance
feeling
of being
from
earnest?
That I've
what?
seen.
I have.
I've seen that.
I played a character in that in high school. I can't remember which one. I think I was the butler or something.
I was in a traveling theater troupe that did The Princess Bride.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's cool. But
That was
Wings
fun.
of Desire is very rare in one sense. Okay. It is the only film that was mostly written after it was shot.
I love that.
Interesting.
Wow.
I love that so much.
Okay.
I love Wim Wenders. I really need to see Perfect Days.
It's
Did you
very
see
good.
the Wim Wenders Criterion Closet
Yes.
episode? Yeah.
I'm a little
those.
freak. I love him.
Yeah. Perfect Days is very
Yeah.
good, actually.
I can't wait.
Okay.
So back to the show.
Let's get back to the show.
Yeah. Sorry, Nate. I don't want to take that.
I love tangents. I love tangents.
Okay.
All right, thanks. So we have our movie pairings. Those are all great picks. Thanks, everyone. So let's get to our decision on The Vault. So this is the most important part of the episode if the Prestige is going to be saved in our vault, in our fallout shelter, to be preserved after the asteroid apocalypse. So yeah, let's see. Or is it going to be expunged, purged out into the fiery apocalypse? I don't know.
Do future generations need to see the Prestige?
That's the big question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So first in this was Sam.
I would say yes. I would save it just because I would have fun watching it again, and it would be a pleasure to see it multiple times. Plus, you're stuck in a bunker and the whole world's on fire. There's not a lot to do. Like, why not? You know,
It's good as reason as any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian, you have a very important role here. So
I would say sure, because it's not Battlefield Earth.
not much is.
and it's not Jaws 4. And it's a perfectly good film for what it is. And I think the way you guys have talked about it, then in multiple viewings, you see new things. And so different people will see new things as they will. So, and even if there's no more humanity left. So yeah, include it.
Okay. And I'm going to say, yes, absolutely. This is a no-brainer for me. I think this movie, more than any movie, rewards all of us with repeat viewings. And I think there's a lot to learn about storytelling and filmmaking with this film. So this is a great film to bring with us into the vault. So yeah, 100%.
Great.
Mm-hmm. My vote doesn't count, but I would have said yes.
Okay. It is unanimous.
Woo!
Sometimes I trash movies just so I get to hear the sound of the movie being like kicked out into the. I love that sound.
Now, wait a minute. If you asked the question differently and you said there's only room for 100 movies in the vault.
I know. Well, maybe that's a different podcast.
We've been building we've been clawing into the vault and like getting bigger. So like it expands, but like there's
good.
You know,
thanks, Sam.
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's expandable reality. You know,
Yeah.
we have a lot of room, but we can't take them all. You know?
I was going to just say that like digital files get smaller and smaller.
That's true.
They don't want Gremlins 2 in the vault, but I do. But you know, that's just me.
I
just
don't
never
want Gremlins
seen
too.
it.
That's like
I love
putting
Gremlins too.
It's like putting RoboCop 2 in the vault.
I love RoboCop too. I know it's not good, but I enjoy it.
That's the Paul Noonan one, right?
That's
Yes.
Tom Noonan. Yeah.
Tom Noonan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Noonan. Who's Paul Noonan? Paul Noonan's a local actor.
Yeah.
Because I saw it as a kid, and I was 10 years old, and I like loved like R-rated movies, and it was so
I actually
cartoonish.
think, Sam, I remember you at summer camp coming in how much you loved it.
Yes,
Because
it's true.
It came
It's
out
true.
because so for some context here, I met Sam. Sam's a few years younger than me. I met Sam when I was probably about 13 or 14 at the Gordon's.
I know you guys went back that far.
At the Gordon School camp in East Providence. They had a creative arts summer camp. So I remember the year that movie came out, 1990, I hated it. And 1991, something like that. I just couldn't stand it. I was so disappointed in it. And my friend Matt West loved it. And then Sam is just giving me a flashback, and he came in, and I'm like, I love it so much. I was like, okay, get this kid away from me, please.
That's so true.
So,
I've like
it just
vividly
came
remember
back,
that. Yeah.
Yep.
We were in the middle school portion of the building discussing that. We were in one of those like that drawing class with the cartoon drawing class.
Hazel's class. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that was the same summer as RoboCop 2. So we're all
It was summer 1990.
Going,
yeah.
And Matt and I went to that, and we're like, what the fuck is this? So anyway.
Classic.
All right. Let's wrap things up here. So, Christian, I want to give you one more opportunity here to plug anything else or share anything else about your filmmaking or where people. I think you said it all before, but anything else?
So I'm currently, I said it a little bit before, but I said that there were 6 episodes left, and we decided to premiere 6, 7, and 8 this fall. So we're just refining that. In total, that's going to be about 3 hours and 40 minutes of stuff. So the episodes start to run over an hour. They start to get more layered and complicated. And right now, this week, I am diving into content having to do with racism in Northern Rhode Island between the 1920s and 50s specifically, and KKK activity in Northern Rhode Island during that time that is not well known at all.
Wow.
We discovered it's great with like history. You're a history detective at the same time. And so we found an incident that took place in my town 100 years ago this summer that nobody knew about, that was completely shoved under the rug, forgotten, buried in the press. And we found it. And also stuff in North Scituate area and Foster.
Wow.
So it's you grow with it as you find new stuff, and that's really the adventure of it. It's amazing.
Slatersville has been such a huge part of your filmmaking, your life right now. What would you say is the most rewarding part of doing this? Because I feel like this is probably no, I'm not jumping to that conclusion. Is this your filmmaking legacy? This thing, because I feel like this has been like 13 years or so of your life has been dedicated to this. That's quite a commitment. To continue. Is there an end in sight for this? Because it seems like see updates. Like you keep seeing they want more episodes, or
no. There's definitely just going to be 11 episodes of it. It's just what happens is that when you start to dive into each episode, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to get, and then your co-writer shows up or somebody else shows up like, no, you got to focus on this. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. All right. I have to, that's right. And then you get pulled in a different direction or somebody else passes away. I've interviewed over 100 people on camera. 29 have passed away. You get to know their families. And so there are entire sequences that I edit on a daily basis where the people are talking are deceased. And so what my favorite part is getting to have known those people a bit. Losing them was a challenge. It still is. My oldest two living are 104, 105. The act of creating and presenting history in a way that hasn't been done before on this topic, and also just the network that we've established globally with it, with support in England, Portugal, Australia, other parts of around this country, other parts of the world. So it's been a massive gathering collection of information to tell a story of America through the prism of the first mill village in Rhode Island in a way that I did not anticipate or plan when we started it. It just kind of grew. I always joke, you guys will appreciate this joke. I always call this film the monster from Akira, because it just keeps growing, except
getting bigger.
Right. Except, it's not getting bigger anymore. We know the exact size, but for a while it just kind of felt like that.
Right.
So yes, it's been a great time. Highs and lows, but absolutely.
Okay. So breakingbranchespictures.com, is that the place where people should go to find you, to contact you about anything?
Yes. Yeah. breakingbranchespictures.com, and also firstmillvillage.com if they want to learn about Slatersville more directly. And then if they want to watch episodes 1 through 5, they can go to pbs.org or the PBS app and watch Slatersville there too.
And through that, they can find your email if they want to. If they reach out to you. So yeah, sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. Okay. Well, that is our show this week. Back to the Framerate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. We also wish to thank Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the Fallout Shelter. Your presence in our underground sanctuary is truly appreciated. We are truly sorry you cannot join us, but we want to express our gratitude for your company. If you're finding solace in our discussions, we kindly ask that you please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Your support is the beacon of light that brightens our confined space. Head on over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes, Spotify, or whichever portal connects you to our broadcast, and share your thoughts. Until we emerge from the fallout, stay with us, keep hope alive, and keep those reviews coming. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Framerate, signing off.
want you to know it's over.
Well,
Well,
bye.